Well, hello, my name is Melissa Webb. I want to welcome you to Essay Essentials. In this workshop, we're going to be talking about essay basics in a way that's going to leave you with some great resources and excellent direction as you work toward helping your child gain academic writing skills. I have a lot to cover over the next 30 minutes, so I want to invite you to first grab some paper, a pen, maybe reheat your coffee. If it's like me, you probably have reheated it already, and then get comfortable and let's talk about writing. Now, to begin with, I must start with discussing the hopes and dreams that we have as parents, right? I think it is our nurturing nature that makes us all want to desperately have healthy and happy children, right? We want kids who can learn and love to learn. It would be really nice if they could be naturally motivated as well. But what we want for them is academic success, right? We want them to go out into the world and see it as their oyster, right? Find the pearl. And here's the thing, if they could do it being confident and as a go-getter, that would be even better. Are you with me? If those are your hopes and dreams, they've been mine as well, raising 3 boys. So I just want you to know I totally get it. And I'm here to help you get these hopes and dreams that you desire. So let's take a look at 5 facts when it comes to writing in today's society. Number 1, today the whole world can be your audience. Yes, we all know how easy it is to share opinions and thoughts and just put stuff out there. I think it's really important and a responsibility of ours to make sure that we realize that so that when our students, children, kids are old enough to be doing that, they're doing it in a really wonderfully strong, positive way. The second fact I want to tell you, and I hate this one, I'll be honest, I don't like it, but it's true. Based on the quality of somebody's writing, that person, that author, their intellect will be judged. I know it sounds terrible, right? But here's the thing. As humans, it is our nature to judge, assess, evaluate. It's what our brain does to protect us. We're always like paying attention. Is that good? Is that bad? Is that helpful? Is that not helpful? And so we can't help it. We read somebody's writing, and if it's sloppy, if they didn't capitalize, if they misspelled a word, our brain judges it. And it really isn't a good indicator of somebody's intelligence, their writing ability. But because we know it will be judged, it's so important that we equip our young writers with really strong writing skills. Fact number 3 is that writing is a valuable way to communicate ideas that can change the world. Think of speeches that have truly changed the world. We need to equip our kids with the skills that they need to communicate their ideas and their thoughts beautifully. Number 4, here's another fact about writing, and this is true. I promise you this one is true. Writing is an academic subject that can be simplified. It doesn't have to be complicated and difficult and feel overwhelming and be that fight or struggle that you have with your child. I've been teaching as a credential teacher for over 30 years. I've homeschooled 2 of our 3 boys. I have taught in classrooms. I have taught as educational facilitators. I've done professional development. I've been talking about writing for a long time, and I've been creating curriculum because I couldn't find a textbook that did it the way that aligned with what I wanted, especially when I was homeschooling. So I've simplified a system that if it's been overwhelming you, we're going to take care of that. Finally, 5th fact I want to share with you before we jump in. Most children want to share their thoughts and opinions. They really do. Some kids will say, I don't like writing or I don't want to write, but I will tell you the ones that I've worked with, and it's been hundreds, if not thousands now, that in those moments, it's only because they're lacking the confidence. Once they know how to express themselves, they have amazing thoughts, ideas, and opinions, and we should be listening to them. Writing gives them an opportunity to share that. So, are you ready? Let's make the world their oyster and help them find the pearls that go with academic writing. I am here to help you. And here's what I want to tell you. I love using analogies, as you can just see with my oyster. And one analogy that works really well that, gosh, a teacher taught me way back when I started teaching, the hamburger model. This makes good sense, especially if you have a visual learner or you are a visual learner. Because writing a good essay, an academic essay, is like building a burger. We're going to get all of the parts together, and I'm going to explain how this visual will really help your child. The thing is, I have a few things I want to do and accomplish in the next 20 minutes. One, I want to teach you something valuable that you can implement right away with the next writing assignment that you do. I also want to explain how when you follow this way, there will be a change you will see, and I will explain that to you as well. And I want to address the problem with writing these days. I will offer some solutions, and I even have a surprise for you at the end. Do you like surprises? Me too. Okay, so let's jump in and get started. I have to begin at the beginning. Back when I was in middle school, the first time I ever heard the word essay was from a history teacher. I know, odd, right? And she really believed in a strong vocabulary. And so right off the bat, she had said, hey, we're going to be writing essays in this class. You'll be learning about different historical events. I'm going to ask your opinion on things or have you inform me about things. You'll be writing an essay. That's your first word. Spell it. Give me a definition. I was in 6th grade. And I remember thinking, okay, everybody probably knows this but me. And this is literally what I wrote. Capital S, capital A, question mark, essay. I didn't know how to spell it, let alone what it meant, right? So I want to begin with that, just in case you were similar to me in my background. What even is an essay? So an essay is a short, formal piece of writing. Kids will tell me all the time, it's not short. Mine was 2 pages long or 3 pages long. Okay, it's a relative term. It's not a novel or a chapter book, right? It's a short paper in comparison to maybe term papers later on, or novel writers, of course. So that's what it is. But more importantly than that, we need to ask, what does an essay do? Well, it communicates our thoughts, right? It has a purpose. Now, specifically, and this is part of how I've simplified things, I realized there's only 3 reasons we ever write. Only 3. Have you ever thought about this? And I'm not just talking elementary, middle school, high school, or college. I also am talking in life. Think of like the last email you wrote to somebody. Or if you're in sales, so have you had to sell something? Like, these are still things we do even as adults. You're sitting around and you're talking to some friends and you tell a story about what happened when you went to the grocery store last week. Like, we're always using these 3 forms to communicate and give a purpose in what it is we have to say or write. So here they are. Here are the 3. Do you have your note paper ready? Number 1, persuasive essays. And I'll go into these in more detail later, but I just want you to know, writing an essay, a short formal piece of work, has to have a purpose. It's either persuading, which would be the persuasive essay, exposing or informing, that'd be the expository essays, or narrating, telling a story, entertaining, those would be the narrative essays. That's it. And once we teach our kids these 3 over and over, different prompts, they will master it. Promise you they'll master it. So those are the 3. You might want to write those down. Those are the purposes for what we're going to write. Then how we're going to write is like this, in the hamburger style. So I know a lot of people these days, they like protein style. So whether you cap your burger with lettuce or a bun at the top and you collect it at the bottom with lettuce or a bun, these are the pieces that hold everything else together. So many students I see just start an essay kind of nilly-willy, and they're just like, well, I think this is what she wants me to talk about. And it's often not organized the right way. So organization when it comes to academic writing is critical and important. When your child understands this that I'm about to show you, this is the kind of smile you can expect to see. Confidence is going to go up. They're going to start to realize the pattern. They're going to start to see how this comes into shape and form. And with that, they begin to feel so much stronger as communicators. Okay, so let's go into jumping into that, teaching you something of value right now. You ready? Let's look at the hamburger model. The hamburger model looks like this, and I want you to think of an actual hamburger, right? We already talked that there's lots of different kinds of hamburgers, right? And that would be like there's different kinds and purposes for writing. But once you pick the hamburger you want, they all are very similar in the construction. Your top bun is your introductory paragraph. In the introduction, that's where your student, your child is going to introduce what is going to be written about. Hopefully, they're going to bring it in with a nice fun hook to attract the reader. Then you're going to give an overview of what's to come, and you're going to end with what's called the thesis, the main point. And typically there's 3 main ideas that you put in a thesis. Each of those then get pulled apart and talked about more specifically. That's like the tomatoes, the cheese, the onions, the veggie burger, whatever it is that you have in there. Main point 1 is a paragraph just focusing on the first thing you mentioned in your thesis. The second body paragraph, also the third paragraph of the essay, is main point number 2, where you're going to go into the other thing that you mentioned in your thesis. And then finally, main point 3. Now, I will tell you, essays can be different lengths. I teach the 5-paragraph method, but for a lot of students, we don't start there. You could start with something much simpler, right? If you like a grilled cheese, right, you could just have the bun, the cheese, and the bun. And that's fine. That'd be like a 3-paragraph essay. You still introduce what it is that you're going to talk about. You go into all the details, all the good stuff, all the things that you informed about. And then you wrap it up nicely with that bottom bun. That is the structure of a strong academic paper. Now, let's go into it a little bit more on each of those styles that I just mentioned, because they do each look a little different from one another. So let's just use the persuasive essay, for example. You want your child to practice this twice a year. I do it first in the fall. I do it again in the spring. When you write persuasively, you're giving your opinion about something. I've had students in the past do research on zoos. The important thing in persuasive writing is that you look at both sides before you take a side. So I've had students read articles on why zoos are amazing and good, and articles on why zoos are bad and terrible. After they do their own research, they form their own opinions and they take a side. It's really important that you teach that in persuasive writing. They must take a side. No wishy-washy. Well, some people like zoos and there are some good ones, but there are bad ones. No, not in persuasive writing. You take a side and you stick to it and you back it up with evidence and elaboration. That's where the research part really, really plays its piece. So in a persuasive essay, your introduction is going to hook us in maybe with a good fact, give us a little overview, and that thesis is going to take your claim to the level where you stand on this topic. So your thesis could be something as simple like, although many people enjoy zoos, overall, these are detrimental to the safety, health, and well-being of animals. See how clear that is? I wrap that up at that top bun introductory paragraph. Then I can go into as many paragraphs as I want, each on those topics. The safety, I could do a whole paragraph just on the health. And again, I'm going to back this up with research and notes I've taken, and I'm going to make it really a strong force right in there. I'll quote my sources, or I'll quote an authority figure in there perhaps. And then at the end, I'm going to bring in my bottom bun, which is similar to the top bun, right? Think of buns, right? They're a roll at first until we split them in the middle, but they're made of the same ingredients. They're very similar. There's just a little more fluff in the top, like in your introduction. But at that bottom, I'm going to come back and I'm going to restate my point of view, which is that in this particular case, I'd be against zoos. And then I'm going to wrap that up with a nice call to action. Call to action at the end of persuasive's really smart. This is a great way to say, so this summer, whatever you do, don't go visit the zoo, right? Like I want my listeners to know, like, stay away. So you'll end with a call to action. Now, in an expository, we leave out our opinion. Expositories are all about informative, informational, explanatory type things. So think about the study of a subject. Perhaps you studied penguins. So if you want your child to do this practice, again, I do it once in the fall and I do it once in the spring. So you do it twice a year. And it could be like a science topic in the fall, and then you could do a history topic in the spring, totally up to you. But this is where we leave opinions out of it and we're just going to inform. So we still want to have a top bun. We still want to introduce the topic. I might give you a fun fact about penguins. I'm going to give you an overview about what I'm going to talk about. And then I'll tell you in my thesis, my main points, maybe 3 things about them. I could talk about their body anatomy. I could talk about where they live. I could talk about foods they eat. Okay. And then I'm going to take each one of those that I just mentioned in my top bun, and I'll do more details on each one of those in the body paragraphs. At the end, I'm going to grab that bun again. I'm going to restate my point of view. And a nice way to end expositories is to do what I like to call the circle hook. Circle back to that fun fact that you gave at the beginning. And maybe you have like a funny thought that goes with that. Or just like, I don't know, something with your personality that kind of ties it all together. It's a great way to add your own voice to your writing. Lastly, are narrative essays. And although they don't always look exactly the same because, well, think of the last chapter book or novel you read. It's not an academic essay in that sense, is it? When we write stories, we indent a lot. We indent every time a new dialogue happens or whenever a scene changes. So it looks a little bit different. However, it's still the same thing. We have to have our intro, right? That's the beginning of the story where you're setting the stage. We need to have the middle of the story. And again, that can have so many layers depending on your plots and your storyline and your story arc and all that good stuff. And then you're going to wrap it up with a solution or conclusion to your story. And maybe you'll even end with a moral, a good moral of a story. That's often fun. So that's just a little bit more about the 3 kinds. If right now you're like, oh my gosh, Melissa, there's so much to learn here. Hey, this is what I teach. So by all means, you can come check out other things that I offer, and I can come alongside and totally help you with this. Yes, I can actually take this off your plate, so to speak, and do the burger making for you if that is something that interests you. In the meantime, I think you really can see how this could make a huge impact in giving direction for strong academic organization. It will create a change in your writer. I think about, gosh, had I really understood this earlier in my life, there are some things I know would have happened. I would have gotten better grades because so often I would turn things in and just hope that I got a good grade because I didn't really understand the format the way that I wished that I had. I could have gotten so much more recognition for my work, maybe more opportunities, right? Like I think I could have been a journalist, but at that time in my life, I didn't feel like writing was my strength. And I know that if somebody had come along and taught things to me in this manner when I was that age, I certainly would have had increased confidence. So it's something that you now, as a homeschooling parent, you can offer your child, right? Wouldn't you love to change for your kids? Maybe things that you may struggled with, right? How did you do with writing? A lot of people have told me they felt exactly like I did, that it was just kind of like a stab in the dark. Like, I hope I got it right. They didn't always feel like this was the strength. Nobody explained it to us the way that I'm explaining it to you today. But here's the beautiful thing. I used to listen to Dr. Laura, the radio show. I think she's still on like Sirius XM. But she would always give like parenting advice. And one of the things that she said that always stuck with me There are two times in our lives where we are going to be in a parenting relationship. The first is as the child. I had an okay childhood, wasn't great. But here's the thing, I had no control of my life at that point. I'm now in a parenting relationship in the second half of my life, and that is as the parent. You're in that place too. This is our chance where we can make better for our kids what we want for them. So I invite you to come along and do this with me. Here's a true sad fact. Academic writing has truly taken the back seat over the last couple of years. On the bus of education, other things have been pushed to the front, and it's all understandable considering what we've been through. SEL, which is social emotional learning, has taken the front seat. Understandably so. There's so many things that kids have had to deal with that we never did. We never did as when we were children, right? So things got simplified. We went back to the very basics of math, reading, and writing. And a number of people have told me how both public schools and charter schools and private schools and homeschooling families, people were just like, we're just going to do journal writing. Hey, I love creative writing. I journal every day, but creative writing, journaling, although they have a place, those are not examples of academic writing. We need to move academic writing back to the front of the bus. It needs some special attention. And I'm not just saying that from my perspective. You can go look at any educational site out there. There is a mission right now in worldbank.org. I mean, just check out any educational space. People are talking, teachers are talking, administrators are talking about the remedial education that must be pushed into place at this point. And that's because we've let some time slip without staying on the ball. And it's okay, because the great news is we can actually move forward and get caught up rather quickly. As I said, I promised you some things here at the end. So I have a few things for you. I think you're going to like this. Hey, if you don't have a writing binder, I highly recommend you create one. That could be the first thing you put at the top of your notes. Create a writing binder. In your writing binder, you're going to want to put resources. I have lots of resources, tons of resources. Reach out to me anytime. I'm more than happy to help you. But here's one that shows the hamburger model. And in this hamburger model, this will be a great way for you to remember anytime the next essay gets assigned, the way that you want to come at this. So that's one thing. The other things that I have for you, because I actually have a course called Essay Essentials. And over the summer, I have had a group of parents take the course and then offer feedback. And one of the things that parents said in that essay course, which is a standalone, self-paced, you can do it on your own, they said, gosh, it would be nice if you gave us some examples of persuasive topics and expository topics. So I have both of these handouts for you as well. Of course, you could pause this. It's a recording. Write some of these ideas down, but I'll give you the links to the actual documents as well, so that I can certainly help and support you. All right. I hope that you are feeling empowered and inspired. The thing is, I know as a homeschooling parent, as a teacher, sometimes things can feel overwhelming. It can be an uninspiring job at some time. And here's what I want you to know. I just graduated my baby, right? I have 3 boys and our youngest just finished high school. As I sit on this side of things and I look back and reflect, I think about how often I was able to do more for my child because I took the hand that was offered. So if writing is not your thing and you really do want to make sure that your child is equipped for all the right reasons and is strong in his or her communication skills, we need to connect. Our paths must cross at a deeper and more personal level. So I definitely want to invite you to come and see me on my website. I'm on Instagram, I'm on Facebook, I'm on TikTok, I'm on all the places trying to meet all the parents that are out there homeschooling, because this is something that deserves a community and a group of powerful people who are ready to change the world. My motto is to take today's learners and turn them into tomorrow's leaders. And I want to do that with the best homeschooling families out there. So if you want to come and find me, there's lots of ways to do it. Email me directly, melissa@rightonweb.com. You'll see that right there at the top. Write that down. Email me. I'd love to know, what you think of this workshop. Was it helpful? Do you have any questions? I have a website, rightonweb.com. I also have a Teachable site, which is rightonweb.teachable.com. I actually have a free homeschooling planner challenge that I did in the summer of 2021, but it's still there and offered as a free course. You can just do that on your own time, and I show you how to use Google Sheets to do an overview of your entire school year. So that's just kind of a fun freebie that I throw in there for you. But I have other courses. I have lots of things that I can offer you. And if you're on Instagram or Facebook, or even TikTok, that's my newest channel, anything at Right On Web, you usually can find me. But hey, if you have any trouble at all, just email me directly, and I would love to work with you. It would truly be an honor. Hey, I wish you a fantastic school year ahead of you. I think you're doing great things. And if somebody hasn't told you lately, you're a very selfless, loving, and kind person. That's exactly the kind of person who values family the way that you value family and education. And so kudos to you. You're doing a great job. I see you. Keep up the great work, and hopefully we'll meet again. Until then, right on.